because of your skill set and your mindset. So imposter syndrome is a real one. And, that's where the self-help books come in place, and those affirmations. And sometimes you just reminding yourself who you are,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
This is another good one. Hit this next point.
Which one? The second one, that one?
The fear.
The fear of failure.
People sometimes don't even start because they're so afraid to fail.
We say all the time, you're never going to get better or succeed unless you're uncomfortable.
Yep.
And jumping into something with the understanding that you can fail. Failure is very real.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Failure normally leads to a failure of one idea, typically leads to the idea that makes it succeed. And it might be in a totally different way. So if you want to, if you're too afraid to fail, you're never going to win. I tell this to people in real estate all the time, like when they're feeling not motivated or like things aren't going their way. And I'm like, well, if you quit now, you'll never succeed.
And you'll have regrets and you'll never know.
Exactly.
And you'll never know. You know internally whether you are being your best self and whether you are trying your best. If you don't try your best and you quit, that's going to stay with you forever.
Do you know how many men I've met was like, well, back in high school, I could have been blah, 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 blah. Well, why didn't you? Why did you quit, Billy? Like, you should have went out and worked harder with the team.
Yeah.
Like, so, you live with those regrets the rest of your life. So instead of being afraid of failing, embrace it. It's going to happen. At some point in your life, it's going to happen, and that's okay, because most of the time that opens the door for better opportunities, new solutions. The most successful people will tell you, I failed 150 times before I got to where I am. I failed so many times, and if I would have quit, I would have never made it to where I am today.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't be afraid to fail. You'll never succeed. You won't know what success is.
No. And you'll probably just continue to if you keep quitting, right? I've talked to a lot of agents and interviewing them, and they're telling me like how many brokerages they switch. Like if someone's like, yeah, I've been with 3 brokerages 1 year, I don't want to be your 4th, because you can't. Wow. You haven't even given it time to succeed, and I don't want to spend my time to pour into you if you're going to quit when things get tough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
These next two, I think, kind of roll into each other, and it is burnout and having a good work-life balance. Cary and I can tell you, like when we first started, we didn't have all the luxuries we have now, and we were driving all over the state of Georgia, and burnout was real. But it's definitely led to our success and having such a great administrative team, being very intentional about how we give leads, and talking about having a good work-life balance, because burnout you talk about like an internal block, you just don't have any more to give. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that work-life balance is before burnout, because of course that's a leading factor.
Yep.
If you don't have work-life balance, and we're not saying that 1 week you can't work 90 hours, because you have to.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, but then that next week you make sure you take that,
intentional.
Be intentional about self-care. And that's why a lot of times what I talk about with, balance in your day is like starting out with intention and like giving yourself time before you give anything else time. I remember when I was first in real estate, I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to see everything that, hit the market. I wanted to get to emails right away. And I was taking away those mornings, that little bit of time for myself before I got, my children ready. And by the time, because I'm frazzled and frantic and doing everything I need to do with work, by the time I would go wake them up, I wasn't being my best self.
Right.
And so then they got like a not as great version of their mother. And then I'm sending them off to school and mommy's being manic, like I expect them to have a good day. So I've learned that, okay, for me, I need to time block, and I'm going to start my day with my time, with my meditation. Then I'm going to give my kids time and get them ready for school and set their day up for success. And then after 9 o'clock, everyone else gets me until about 7 o'clock. And then that's back to my time. So that's what I mean by balance. I mean, it doesn't mean that at 7 o'clock when I feed them dinner and get them to bed that I don't pick my phone back up at 9 o'clock. There's days like that. and every day looks a little different, but I try to be intentional with my time on a regular basis, knowing that some days we're going to have to pivot. But that way I'm not like to the point, like anytime my phone rings, I'm ready to like rip my hair out. I want to always be able to control my energy, and that works for me. And it might look different for you or for, someone else that doesn't have children and has a little bit more of their own personal time. But I do think it's important to be intentional, especially in real estate, because it's the 7-day-a-week career.
Yeah, easily, and gets away from you. Being extremely intentional with your time to avoid burnout. That is one of my biggest goals for this year, is to be much more intentional about my personal time.
Especially because it's easy for us to get on our phones or on video games or whatever our distractions are, and we're not being intentional with the people who were the reason why we work so hard. They're getting like the leftovers of us.
Leanne bought me a book, an actual book to read.
Oh,
pretty excited.
Okay, what is it? What's the
pretty
name of the book?
Pretty excited about it. What is it? It's one of the really popular ones. What is it? How to become friends with anybody or something. I'll get the title. It's one of those really good business ones that I've wanted to read, and I'm like, I just don't have time. It's literally next to my bed.
Yeah, versus having your social media reading that.
I'm gonna shut my phone, but
shut down that.
Shut it down. Plug it in. I plug it away from my bed, so I'm not.
That's
on
important because it's so easy to lean over and grab and be like, oh, let me look at one more thing.
And waking up in the morning, but I'm going to intentionally shut that off, and then for 20-30 minutes every night before, because I know that if I'm in bed and I read for 20 minutes,
you're gonna knock it off.
I'm gonna be done.
Yeah, it's like it puts me to sleep every time. My brain's like, we're done. I think that's really good. So again, finding a time blocking is really good for our work-life balance. I can tell you that I've had a lot of health challenges at the end of last year. It's because, I come on here and I'm like, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. Well, I wasn't doing it myself. Right. Last year, I did not do yoga the way I needed to. I wasn't mindful of my supplements that I normally take. And by the end of the year, I had stretched myself so thin that my immune system crashed, and I have been very ill the last 2 months. And I'm a well girl. I'm doing so much better. But I had to tell myself, Maggie, you are so good about putting things on the calendar. Make sure you put on the calendar your self-help things, your you time, the things that like your yoga, your massages, the things that you need for your body to stay healthy. Because guess what? When I burnt out and I was so sick, I was useless to everybody. Yeah. So I think those are really important. So let's head over to the external blocks.
I was excited to go through these.
These are really good. So the things that you can't necessarily control that come at you, they're not in here. They're everywhere out here. So the first one is difficult clients.
Difficult clients. It can be that they give you a lot of pushback.
Other agents.
So in regard to that, like transactional period within the deal, specific deals, it's almost like it's like your due diligence period. You have that like period of time where things can go really well, or they can go really badly based off of one conversation.
Exactly.
And you and that other agent initially are setting the tone for the entire deal.
Exactly.
And being mindful that some people who are really good at sales and negotiating will manipulate you, will try to manipulate you, and you won't even realize it. Some people don't even realize that they do
That's what they're doing.
Others do. So your ability to keep these, let's say, challenges
at
bay and not show you can show emotion, but don't.
You want to be Switzerland. You just want to be, I tell people, like, you don't want to feed into it. You want to be in control. It doesn't matter how aggressive or people's tonality with me or even what they're saying. If I set my intention before I get, now if you catch me off guard, I can't promise my highest self will show up. But if I already kind of know what I'm dealing with, I'm going to take time before I have the conversation and really just, I talk about speaking to the universe and gratitude and just really set the tone for, thank you God for giving me clear, concise words. Thank you for, this or something better, right? So if this doesn't work, that's okay, because sometimes it's not going to work. This or something better. And even with your clients, if your clients are like not listening to you, sometimes you have to have that conversation with yourself, like, okay, we're going to go into this. We're calm, we're cool, collected. And that way, whenever they're being reactive, you can be very non-reactive. You can just listen, pause, take a breath, and then respond. Because a lot of times in real estate or any career or dealing with people in general, people just want to be heard. So sometimes we get in this like ego-driven conversation of like, well, no, this is what I want and this is what I need and I have the golden egg and you are... No, like treat everyone like you want to be treated. And even when someone's being nasty, just know that that's not directed really. It's being directed at you, but it's not for you. It's a projection. Like you never know what those people have going on, what their previous experiences were. But if you can always be kind and loving and, but have a backbone, right? Don't get steamrolled, but just have like a good mindset, a good positive view. Like you are solutions oriented. It's amazing what you can accomplish. Like I've dealt with some of the most difficult builders that were just telling me no. So I just went above their head and I was like, listen, I cannot even imagine how difficult your job is. Like you're dealing with so many different factors. And I can really appreciate that this is how you typically deal with it. But for my client personally, XYZ, and like hit them like where it's like, if this was your own personal home, how would you want to be handled? Like wouldn't this be your expectation? Like kind of, volley that back to them. And a lot of times they'll sit and then you pause and smile. And even if you're on the phone, smile, because that's your energy. And then a lot of times people are like, you're not wrong, and they want to help you. But if you come at them like, you have to do this or we're walking and this, well, you're giving out aggressive energy. That's what's going to come back to you. Like a lot of times when my kids are being wild, I'll put my hand on their arm and be like, listen, we're just not going to do that. And we're better than this. And the end goal is this. And then it works because then they know it's going to go here next. No, but it's just like if you don't match their energy, everyone's like, I match energy. Maintain your own energy and then you'll be in control of the conversation. It sounds like manipulation, but it's good intention manipulation,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and if you don't throw all of your emotions at them, if you're upset, show you're upset, but tell them why you're upset. Communicate. And that's like one of my other big goals is like over communicating this year. If you're struggling with something, reach out to somebody. If you don't know what to do, reach out to somebody. Be a team. Utilize that team aspect because working alone's not fun.
No, because then you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off. I can't tell you how many times that like I call you or Andrew or Pete and I'm like, all right, listen, because sometimes we feel like we're right and maybe we're not. And so like having someone you trust, when we talk about accountability partners and stuff, having someone you trust that you can say, okay, this is the whole story. I feel this way. Am I off? And having someone that you trust enough to be like, well, I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but I think that possibly like here's some other solutions. That's so important in what we do.
Absolutely.
Because your ego can get ahead of you sometimes, even if that's not your intention.
Yep.
Market fluctuations. So, right, we can't control the market.
Hopefully, I think we're getting into a better place. We had interest rates dip into the 6s.
Yeah.
And it's looking pretty encouraging.
I mean, but to be fair, like as long as you're doing what you can do and lead with your best, like even with market rates up as high as they were last year, we were still selling houses. People still need somewhere to live. So it's not getting caught up in the hype. I know a lot of people will get on this news feed and they'll be like, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I just block out all the noise and I deal with what is.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't live in what can happen, or there's endless possibilities. So I say with like market fluctuations, or anytime you're going into situations that are like that, like the third quarter is going to be election season. You're going to have everybody's going to think the world's going to end, or you know, if gas prices go up or anything, like everyone wants to live in this like panicky state. Right. So I like try to block the noise out and just live where my 2 feet stand. Like, this is what we're handling. If you need to move, you need to move. These are some solutions, like, you know, marry the house, date the rate. We say that all the time, you know, but be, again, solutions oriented. Don't get sucked into the vortex of all the what could happen, and it's just too much. Life is a million things could happen, you know.
Yeah.
This is how I talk to my clients. I'm like, do you need a house or not?
You're like, listen, here's the deal.
Rent is 100% interest.
It is.
Your house is too small. This 8% interest rate, or do you want your kids all breathing in your face? Do they need a yard to play in? Like, we can, you know, let's deal with what is today.
We can help you with that.
Yes, I can't.
Oh, technological disruptions. That's a fun one.
Oh, Lord. That's what just happened to us.
Yeah, it's just what happened. Just go with the flow. Just go with the flow.
It's like a river, right? Life is like a river. You can swim upstream and exhaust yourself, or you can just roll with it.
Yeah.
And just, like, you know, navigate the current that you have currently.
Yep, absolutely. And I consider that like, so technological disruptions. I mean, that can be like major stuff. I think of it more on like the micro level, like your phone's not working.
Your phone's not working. You can't get the super box to work. You want to see me not be my best self? It's trying to get those super boxes that are jammed.
Oh yeah.
I need to come back to this when.
If that does happen, you
just crawl through a window.
Oh,
I'm just joking.
I throw the box on the ground.
Cary, that's.
You got to shake it loose.
No.
It works every time. It works 70% of the time. Every time.
Don't do that.
I mean, technology is a distraction anyway.
Yeah.
I'm trying to break free of that.
But you're so good at it.
I know. But just like being
more
mindful, taking time, being consistent with my time.
Yeah.
And knowing it's like, hey, Instagram's going to be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be there in 30 minutes. It's going to be there in the morning.
And I would say with technology, another good point to hit is like, you know, like when you're frustrated with it not working. So like we're always encouraging our agents to be like have a presence on social media. And so sometimes they think that, you know, I'm putting all this effort and I'm not getting a lot of views, or I'm not getting a lot of likes. And then like I had an agent was like, you know, she was consistent, and then she walked into new construction the other week, and this lady who was on site agent was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to finally meet you in person. She was like, I know you. And she was like, Maggie, you know, the social media stuff works because they feel like they know me and I don't even know them. But now they're co-oping and doing some really cool things. And it's just like, just be consistent. It doesn't, I have the hiccups today. A lot of times when you see like all these views or all these likes, a lot of those are paid. And it doesn't matter. You just need to be consistent with it, and it will pay off. Time takes time. So that to me is the technological disruptions. That can be frustrating. This is a good one. Oh my goodness, we just had this conversation in our last sales meeting. Competition. You need to be you. Don't compare yourself to a single soul, because they're not you and you're not them. And I really tell people all the time, like, no one's my competition. Either I'm for you or I'm not, and that's okay. But I'm always going to show up as me. It's when people start trying to be somebody they're not and comparing themselves to others, that's just a recipe for disaster. One, you're going to come across as very inauthentic, and it's going to feel inauthentic, not just to them, but to yourself.
Right.
And then you're going to always feel like you're failing because you're trying to compare yourself to somebody whose journey looks different, right? And I have my unique skill set. I have my personality, and you know, I know what I bring to the table. So like, if you and I went on listing appointments, we offer the same thing, but we're really different. Someone's might like your energy differently than mine. You know,
Yep.
they might choose you because you might have more in common with them,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, they feel like you are in that neighborhood or community more than me, or vice versa. And it's okay, and congratulate the other person, because that's the energy that you put out. I always tell people, like, my clients are my clients. Like, my people are my people. Your people are your people. It's okay. And think more of like collaboration rather than competition.
Right.
Like, if you see someone's doing something good, I want to see how you're succeeding. I don't want to like replicate it, but like, let me see what you're doing and put my own spin on it where it's authentic to me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah, reach out to other people and learn. I mean, that's another barrier to break down. I think that when you look at when you're comparing yourself to other people, I think there's aspects of insecurity, jealousy, whichever. And that's hard to push through, but when you can and you see that
the value.
Yeah. They're succeeding, and other people are going to look at you that way when you're succeeding.
Exactly.
You'll find that when you're doing really well or you have it together, you stop hearing from certain people. And I mean, that's not by accident.
No.
Or you start hearing from different people.
I tell people, as you grow and evolve, a lot of things falls away from you, and at first it feels very disheartening, but it's because as you evolve, if you think about like a plant, as you evolve, sometimes those baby leaves fall off, and it just it's not for you anymore. You've outgrown that stem.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a loaded meeting today.
Yeah, I'm like, that's heavy.
This is real heavy. I don't know how much deeper we should get into this.
Well, we're gonna pivot.
We are gonna pivot.
We're gonna pivot to resilience and performance.
It'll be a little more positive.
Well, but I think that's all positive.
It is positive.
I think like with a lot of times, if everything is, roses and cupcakes and rainbows, and people are going through it, they're like, well, that's nice that you're there. I'm going through these things. How do I get through these things? So I think it's a good balance. Look at us. We're going to balance this out with more positivity.
I love it. And with success comes more blocks, comes more mental blocks, comes more external blocks. So your ability to push through, because once you start seeing success, you don't want it to stop.
Exactly. But that sometimes puts even more pressure on you. Like, oh, I did great last year, I want to do even better. And then you're going, oh gosh, especially in like sales, because you eat what you kill, right?
Yep. And you know what it takes. If you're a top producer, you've been a top producer, you know what it takes. We see so many agents that will sell a lot, like 1 year, and then they just like don't do it again. It's because they know. And if you're not willing to grind and get in there,
And again, for me personally, there's years I'm hitting the gas heavy. I mean, we are full throttle, and there are years that I'm like, all right, I can just like leisurely look around, and this is not every year. You have to just know like where you're at and what your goals are. And I think a lot of times people will look at like volume or sales. Yes, that can be a goal, but there could be other goals within real estate. Like, just because you see someone's numbers change doesn't mean that they're not succeeding, because their success might be like diversifying and stuff like that. So anyways, over to resilience and performance. So mindset and habits. So what are some of your daily routines and rituals that help you stay focused, motivated, and productive? What are some of the things that you do, Cary?
What I should be doing?
Well, that's honest.
Working out, getting up.
I was about to say, you haven't been getting up and going to the gym.
No, I haven't been.
Cary, I haven't been going to yoga either. It's okay.
Rising and grinding. That journaling.
Journaling is really good.
Which I do. I haven't done it as much as I want, but it does. I will tell you, if you have a scattered brain and you're just all over the place, you should journal.
Put your thoughts.
It really works. It really, really, really works. And it actually, I upset myself because I don't do it enough.
But also give yourself grace.
Yeah, I'm gonna give myself grace. But I am going to be intentional about that because I do feel like I just get it all out.
They say some of the most successful people at the end of the day write down like everything that they need to do the next day, and so then that's your list. So even if it's not like journaling about how you feel about everything, because I don't do that. I don't think it's good for me because I don't want to go back and look at those things sometimes. But if you're just sitting and taking time to like journal about or write down like, okay, what are my goals for tomorrow? What do I want to accomplish? And then wherever that is at the end of the night, whatever you didn't accomplish can go on to the next day, and you can just keep that going, and then you're holding yourself accountable. But yeah, so you said working out, journaling is really good for you. How do you stay motivated? Leanne? Does Leanne crack the whip?
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten better over the last year of holding each other accountable and saying, because it's easy for us to burn out too, because we have our own personal business and then our agents and then, growing and evolving in business. But having accountability partners, right?
Definitely accountability partners, for sure. Understanding where you should spend your time. Yes.
Being intentional.
I mean, that's if you can't take that first step into just like being intentional, saying I'm going to do this today and then do it. That's where it is. It's getting out of that, basically that tunnel.
Yeah, breaking into your habit. And I think a good way of doing that is goal setting and time blocking. So like with journaling, like you were saying, just sitting down and taking the time to write down your goals and write down a year goal, but break it down into quarters, monthly, bite-sized goals. Also, for your daily, like write down what you need to, that way you can go back to that piece of paper and hold your own self accountable. Because with us, like in this business, you can really do with your day what you choose to do with it. And then at the end of the day, or then days go together and you haven't done, and then you're like, well, where do I start? Well, if you've done it before, right, if you've already wrote down your goals, if you've already made yourself like a time blocking map, it's easier to correct. What is it when you're driving to? Not overcorrect, but just to correct. Because you already have like a visual schedule of like, all right, I haven't done it for a couple of days, but let me just get back. I visually know, okay, let's just start back from the beginning. We got it. It's fine. I think that's really important to have that type of stuff written down as a strategy. Learning and growth, continuing to learn and grow. I have to say that I am surrounded by men who are very emotionally mature and accountable men. Y'all all go to therapy, which is awesome. Like I do too. But I feel like that's part of learning and growing, right? Because we can go and talk about our things, but also like learn from the things that are our blocks, and having like not just having a safe space to really just put yourself out there and be vulnerable. And I think like that's so important, because so many people, they just think, oh, I got it, and they don't got it. Like they don't got it. But I'm surrounded by like the three of you guys. Honestly, like you guys are so, I feel like, accountable for your actions and your behaviors, and that your ego is less important than the greater good for your own families, for your business, and that you like, because a lot of men won't go and do those type of things. I feel like another thing that you do really well is like you really trust your wife. Like a lot of times people think they have all the answers, and they don't lean into the people who really care about them and know them the best. And I think you're really good about like trusting her opinion and valuing her opinion. So I think that's beautiful. That's you grow there. And
definitely.
I just think that's really important, is to, have people around you that you really respect, that you can learn and grow and evolve from, for sure.
That's, if you're struggling in anything, but if you're struggling work-wise, whatever, find someone,
Mm-hmm.
find a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
find someone to talk to, really in any aspect of your life,
Mm-hmm.
but especially for business. Us as team leads, we're here to guide and
Yeah.
coach and do all of that. But if we don't see that you don't want it, and anyone that you're interacting with,
Exactly.
whatever you're doing, if it doesn't look like you care or you're trying,
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. And it's going to continue to be a problem until you can open up, and whether it's you swallow your pride
Yeah.
or you stop thinking that you can do it on your own and by yourself, because you can't, not in this business.
I had a conversation with a friend that's not in sales or real estate or anything. They have a completely different job than a career than what we have, and what we do, there's a lot of stress. Like in what we do on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of stress, and we really take on not just our own stress, but everybody else's stress around us, right? And this person, I couldn't do what they did. There was a lot of stress, different stress, but a lot of stress. And I was asking them, I was like, well, like, how do you deal with that? Like, do you go and talk to anyone? And they're like, yeah, when I feel like there's a need. And I was like, okay. Now, mind you, there's some personality traits there that I can see that they definitely need to go talk to somebody. That's why I'm talking about it to them. And I was like, all right, well, when's the last time you felt the need to, go talk to somebody? We're like in 2018. We've gone through a whole pandemic.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember the time.
The one time. And when I tell you the level of stress that this person goes through in their career, like they see things that I would never want to see. But they were like, yeah, no, like I don't need to talk to. You don't need to wait until you're in a full freaking mental breakdown before you talk to someone. Now, again, I don't even mean like we said mentors, life coaches. It doesn't have to. Some people have like this thing with I don't need therapy. If you think you don't need therapy, you probably need therapy. But it's just like you need to get ahead of that and have people that you're talking to before you completely implode. And I talk to my agents about this all the time. Like I'm good about calling them, but also like I tell them, call me. It doesn't have to be about real estate. Just call me. Like, let's talk. What's going on with you? But if I'm always the one reaching out, just like if you're dating someone and you're the person that always calls them, at some point it's like, I don't want to call you. Like, why don't you ever call me? So it should be something like, yeah, you have a mentor and they check in with you, but check in with them. Show them that the time that you're pouring into them is valuable, that you value that conversation, that you care. Like you just want to say, hey, look, everything's going good. I'm doing all of this, but I just want to check in and let you know, like I'm doing good.
Yep.
Great. Like I'm glad you're invested in this. And that's so important. Overcoming setbacks. How do you bounce back from situations? Like what is something you do? Like if you feel set back.
Like I'll do like a full reset.
Yeah.
Like I look back at why I think I got there. Whether it's right or not, I think having some accountability and some insight into where you got. Perfect example, I did not sell as much individually last year as I wanted to.
Yeah.
As I typically do. So what I did was I sat down and I said, what am I doing for my business? And I look back, and over this past year was like, not much.
Because sometimes you don't have any more hours in the day. You feel like
not much. So I've got this whole plan for my own personal.
It wasn't for me. That whatever that was, it wasn't for me. There was a reason why that didn't happen. Maybe I'll never understand the reason. But like for instance, like I've had clients that I've worked really, really hard for, and then they ended up going a different direction. And it was because like their lack of knowledge in this business and not knowing like they're about to get hosed. And I mean, I'll have the conversation and say, hey, you're about, this is set up this way intentionally. And then if they don't listen, I'll think like, gosh, how did I not get across to them? Like why? And then sometimes I have to understand, well, that's part of their journey. I can't like, when your kids are running and they go to fall and scrape their knees, sometimes you have to let them scrape their knee because if not, they're going to keep going. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. So for me, I like to, evaluate what was my lesson in that situation, and be grateful for, like, for instance, if something's not working out for me and I don't understand why, instead of being like, oh my God, well, like, beat myself over it, I'll say, well, thank you for this lesson. I'm going to put this lesson back the altar. I'm good. I don't want this lesson again. I'm grateful that I'm a problem solver. I'm grateful that, I have clients who love and adore me. I start, speaking into the universe gratitude, because I know if I sit here and circle on all the whys and failures and why things didn't happen constantly, I feel like that energy keeps coming to me. Like, I keep having more and more setbacks. So I just honor that. I evaluate it. I don't, I try to not get on that, like, manic loop of all, because it's easy to do, to beat yourself up. And just think, thank you for that lesson. Thank you for all my beautiful blessings. Thank you for abundance. Thank you for the ability to problem solve. God, I'm so worthy. And I really try to pivot that energy, like, after evaluating. Like, I don't live in that space of the setback. I think of a setback as like almost the rubber band pulling back and catapulting me forward, versus me staying back here and looping and getting caught up in the rubber band.
Absolutely. I love that whole thing, because if you're not able to realize that you didn't succeed, or you failed, or you didn't do what you wanted, but you are not confident enough in yourself to look back and speak out loud why you didn't hit that goal, why you didn't do that, you're never going to learn.
You're going to keep reliving that lesson,
and you're going
over and
to
over
relive
again.
it over, especially like the painful ones. We always say, God, why does that person just keep doing the same thing over and over? You get used to it.
Well, also you keep allowing it.
It's
a pattern. So sometimes you have to set a boundary and be like, look, I recognize this pattern. I'm going to set a boundary and I'm going to move forward differently. Thank you for boundaries. Like, thank you, God, for boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not to stay in self-loathing. Right? Oh my gosh, so many people who will loathe. They will sit there and they're missing out on so many opportunities and so many beautiful blessings because they self-loathe. So it's like, sometimes you just have to, I tell people, put on your big girl panties and keep it, like, you got to keep moving. Acknowledge your setback and why it happened, but you got to move forward. Like, and that's the biggest challenge with not coming into an office and not being held accountable by other people on a daily basis. Is like, in real estate, you could really close the blackout curtains, throw in some pajamas, and not get out of bed for days. And then you're wondering why your business isn't succeeding. Well, you sat there and wallowed in your one setback or your one failure, instead of taking that energy and doubling down and, taking that exact same energy and pivoting and going to do things that are positive in your life. So I feel like that's super important. And this is, circling back to support systems, right? And having people who can say, all right, Cary, I know that sucked. And I want you to feel how that sucked. I want you to, learn from what you can, but get the fuck over it and go make some money. like sometimes you need that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not fun while it's happening.
No, but you need somebody sometimes to be like, all right, we had our moment. Have your moment, feel your feelings, but, like, what are we going to do next?
And if you don't have that, find that in your life. You've got someone that'll do it, and I'm sure you've got someone who's willing to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Because that's love. Like, if you and I sat here and was like, oh, the market's tough. Yep, it's tough. The clients are tough. Yep, they're tough. No one's doing anything. Yep. And if you have a yes man, that you're going to just sit there and go even deeper in a pit of sorrow. You need someone that you can be high vibrational for them, and they can be high vibrational for you, because it's going to teeter. Like, it's not, someone's not always happy. Like, people have a misconception that I'm happy all the time. I choose happiness, but I have some tough days, and I lean on you guys heavy on those tough days. And y'all are the first to be like, take time and relax, and but also you're like, all right, you're gonna be at the meeting, you know. So take your day, but we need to see you back here on Tuesday. So I feel like that's so important to have those people that aren't just yes people, aren't just hyping you up all the time.
Right.
They do hype you up, but they hold you accountable. So I feel like that is the most important thing, because we have that with Pete. Like, Pete, his love language is definitely providing. It is not words of affirmation. Like, and that's okay, because he's like, I'm going to show you I believe in you by pouring into you and making things available and making
Right.
it like life easier by hiring and delegating tasks, I'm not going to tell you, good job, buddy. If anything, you're going to hear like, I've spent this much money, you better
Yeah.
get your shit together.
Exactly.
But we need that.
Mhm.
But that is how he like loves us, is providing. And you know how we show our gratitude is by stepping up and appreciating all that he provides for us.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. That's what it comes down to.
it really is. But I feel like this is like a really good combo to have. It is like, I know like Monday motivation, people think of it all being like happy and positive, but sometimes this is like, it is just like motivation, like, all right, get up, go get that money, go do something positive today, go do something that makes you feel good, you know, and also check in with yourself and see if you're doing some of these internal blockers. If you're self-sabotaging, if you have imposter syndrome, if you're not having a good work-life balance, you know, are you feeling yourself burning out? What can you do to like recalibrate that? Like, I think those are very important things to hear on a Monday, because a lot of times people coming off of that weekend, they're kind of tired and they're like,
Of course.
I'm just going to stay in the house. Well, go do something positive.
I think every single person could name 2 to 3 things in every single one of these sections.
Absolutely. That they relate to.
At least one or two in each section. There's a couple sections I'm like, wow.
Pot calling kettle.
Clean those up.
I see a mirror right here.
Yeah, exactly. But no, super motivational today.
Yes. I'm going to see if we have any questions that we missed.
We loved seeing so many faces on. It was great.
Yes. I love it. Well, it's 1:00 and it is Izzy's 13th birthday. So she's sitting in my office ready to go. We're going to go do some cup filling for ourselves today. We're going to indoor skydiving. We're very excited about that.
That's going to be awesome.
I know. So we're going to wrap it up today, but we love you guys. Thank you for joining us.
See you soon.
And go do something positive.
Happy Monday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I thought it was good.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Cary's like, I love how you're like, and you're in therapy. But I really think that's good. Like, I feel like more men should know, like, men do that shit.
Yeah. And all the guys, like, all, like, the dads and everything that I know and talk to, we all talk about it.
I feel like everyone should be having someone that they could talk to. Like, fuck. That's why our parents are so fucked up. Where did it go?
Oh, there. I was so confused.
Yeah, same. That's I live my life confused.
I know, right?
All right. Well, I will see y'all tomorrow for our team league meeting.
I'll be ready to go.
I